Welcome back everybody to Tarot and Tea, and cheers, nice good cuppa. And this is the last part of our sword suit shows. So there's been 3 beforehand, so there's a cat in the garden, so easy distracted, wow. There's been 3 before. It's not my cat, a cat, so I had to point it out. And we've done from aces up to the 10 of swords. And as well as tea, I've been blessed with a blade in these videos. So I've been just flailing it around really with no skill whatsoever. So I've got my blade again. I've got one with MEDUSA on again and Pegasus. There's another one lying there. There's an Arwen sword as well. Again, the suit of swords, it's pretty tough, isn't it? It's a pretty tough energy, but it gives us the power to be full of clarity. In rituals, swords can represent our will, our intent, our focus, and an athame to a witch is their tool of choice usually, and it really does have a very strong resonance with their working magically and how you direct energy, and it really helps to, I feel like swords help to align you, like holding a sword, bringing this really back down energy through the spine from the crown chakra, just like this is where I am. And think of the Justice card, and it's having a strong will. So we've seen in the sword deck so far, in the sword suit so far, that we started off with that lovely strong will with the ace down to the crown chakra, all good, and it got very complicated. In the end, we just gave up because it was just really hard. The 10 of swords is like, oh, it's all too much thinking. I'm just going to give up for a while. 10 of swords is overwhelming, and we learn a lesson of a journey, and we come back to the beginning with a fresh idea again. So the court cards, these are really, really interesting, a bit of a different style here now. The Thoth deck does it differently to the Rider-Waite and some of the decks, as I mentioned in another video before. You see, a page is sometimes the first one we're going to look at here, the youthful aspect, but in the Thoth we have the princess. I like that, the princess. And the princesses, or the pages, represent the earth aspect of whatever element we're looking at here. So we're looking at air with the swords. So the earth aspect of air, we can see her on the earth, up fighting in this kind of stormy, cosmic dust. The rebellious Princess of Swords, in my mind she's rebellious, you may see her completely differently. She's trying to get her point across, and she's having to really fight for it in this case, to my mind. There's lots of other different ways of interpreting this. She's got one hand on the altar, what she holds sacred, and she's protecting that as she goes out there and battles. So whether that's someone that's causing trouble, depending on the reading, or defending what's right, she's really got to work it out. And I love that she's wearing almost like heels, like sandals. I get out of my own heart wearing completely inappropriate clothing for going climbing. So yeah, you've got the Princess of Swords here, the earthy aspect of the element of air. What does that mean to you? Earth and air. That can be dust being blown up, can't it? That can be, yeah, we see this in the card, this dust storm. What else do you see as earth and air being combined? Just let me know. Being on a hill somewhere and feeling that refreshing blast of air can be amazing. It can be beautiful. It can be the most inspiring, awakening thing. So it can be an awakening as well. She's got a sword there. She's got a beautiful kind of almost like insect wing back piece on there, the elevation of the spirit. She has a helmet on there, so she's really tuned in with her own, what she feels is right. The princess being the young one, sometimes they're a bit impetuous, and there's a learning to be had here. But the court card can represent someone in your life. It can represent you. It can represent a mood that's around you, or an energy of something that's around you at the moment. The princess is there. In the lovely animal wisdom decks, I've been comparing these in this series. We've got the parrot. I just like the parrot. It's just much cuter, really. The seer of feathers, they use seer instead of page or princess. And the feather of communication coming down there. The parrot speaks, the parrot expresses. So the power of communication comes through with this one. So I think that's a nice energy to think about. After the page or the princess, we have the knight. Here he is, the knight. Knight in shining armour, quite literally. Again with his almost like dragonfly-esque wings on his back in his suit of armour. The knight is the air aspect, and this is air of air. So the air aspect air. So we're super airy here. And as you can see, he's flying across the air at the moment with the birdies, the swallows there. He has 2 swords there. He's gone in for it, hasn't he? There's no holding him back. He has heard something and he has gone for something. So the Knight of Swords represents acting on thoughts, having a great idea and going for it, being inspired to act. Could be angry, you know, you could be like, you could have heard something and you're like, I'm going to respond. Think of the night, the air of air. This is a storm of winds. This is a hurricane. This is, you know, a very gale-force night. Gale-force night. And in a negative, maybe he's acting before he's really thought it through. That's a great word. Thought it through. So we've got the air of air with the knights. The knights are in different suits we'll see how air acts. But in this is about taking something and going with it. Helicopter speed, lightning fast. So good idea or bad idea, that depends on the reading. In the birdie deck, the animal wisdom, the seeker of feathers. We've got the falcon there. So one of the king birds there we've got out there. I'm not going to go too much into the details. I know I want to get through all the court cards in this. I'm just showing you different pictures about how these energies are depicted there. The queen. Oh, I like the queen. The queen is the watery aspect, the water aspect of whatever suit we're looking at. So we're looking at air again. So the water aspect of air. Clouds of rain, stormy seas. How do you see water and air acting together? Have a think about that when you're out and about. The Queen of Swords. She's wise. She knows her stuff. She's got a sword there, and in this deck, she's got a mask or perhaps even a man's head, which she's just taken off his shoulders because he was getting on her nerves, maybe. But the wisdom of a child head poking up behind there, poking up behind her crystalline vision. She sees what others don't see. She's so perceptive. The intuition and the air is that knowing of what's going on. So the water and the air together brings a deep intuition and a deep knowing. The Queen of Swords can feel separate from others because she's above it all in some ways. It can represent a time when you just know you're the only one that knows that the people are acting like fools. You see, the Queen of Swords sees straight through people as she has taken the mask or the head off this person. She can be a wronged woman, but hey, that's a very old-fashioned way of looking at things. This is a woman that just knows. And what I feel with the Queen of Air is she's sometimes wrongly done to in reading, saying, oh, you know, she's like Maggie Thatcher, or she's a wronged woman who's just annoyed. Well, she's got power there and she can step off that cloud every time she wants. And maybe in the reading it's telling you, you know, step off the cloud, get involved a bit more with life. And maybe it's telling you it's time to step back onto that cloud and look over everything, see the bigger picture. But her intuition and her perception is really what stands her out as being quite an amazing energy and amazing character to work with. I like it. In this deck, quickly, we've got the Nurturer of Feathers and you've got the Ibis. Now, the ibis is very sacred to the Egyptians, and the Thoth, Thoth, the god Thoth was linked to an ibis. Wisdom, writing, knowledge, and you've got the air, the feathers, and the water there. So the great creativity of having a psychic and beautiful, deep, emotional connection and being able to write that. So maybe it's time to write down your ideas or to share your knowledge with the world. That's just Cobweb. If you wonder what that scratching in the background, that's Cobweb. You didn't want to come and say hello though. So yeah, the deep creativity that can come from the from the Queen of Swords as well. And then finally here in the last one we're going to look at in the Swords deck, we've got the Prince, sometimes called the King in other decks. And the kings will sometimes have chariots or they will sometimes have thrones. The Prince here, the Prince of Swords, wow, this is a bit of a full-on card for me. People will relate to and warm to different cards. I do struggle to warm with this card, apart from his awesome, hello Cobweb, awesome bobble hat that he has on his head there. I think it's meant to be some kind of Roman, you know, Centaurian thing, but I like to think of he's going, you know, on a skiing trip and he's wearing his bobble hat. Anyway, back to all seriousness, the Prince of Swords is the master of his will, the master of all of the ideas, the master of all things we link to air. But he gets a bit serious about it all. He's being a bit control freaky about it. But sometimes you've got to, haven't you? Sometimes you've got to take control. This can be a card where you've got the little mini people down here and he is really taking charge. And sometimes you have to. This maybe could represent other ideas that you've got around you, and you've got to kind of really bring them all together. It could represent that you've been given a place of intellectual control over things, or you're holding a meeting and you've got to try and hold the room with the communication and take charge. So it can be a bit fragmented. It can be lots of different ideas that are coming up, and be careful how you treat other people, I think, with this card as well. Hello, God, I'm just going to say hello now. Hello, and stand on my cards. That's what he does best, stands on all my cards. So yeah, this is the king, and the king is a fiery aspect. Didn't mention that, did I? It's prince, sorry, the prince in this deck is the fiery aspect of air. So fire, rah, passion, anger, get up and go, and air. Well, air and fire feed each other, you know, obviously without air there'll be no fire. So this can be an idea that's really taking root as well. My favourite one of this, can I have it off your paw copper, thank you, is the eagle, the guardian of feathers, which is the prince, the king in the birdie with animal wisdom deck. The guardian of feathers, now the king bird that represents the solar energy of the fire of the sun, and also the king hunter as well. So the eagle with its great vision is a really nice way of looking at it. You know, you've been given a position of power, or it's time to tune into your own power, and you've got an amazing vision, an amazing royal role that's come towards you, and you can see very clearly all around you. So I really like that aspect of this this card. So that was a race through all of the Suit of Swords and the air cards. So I really hope you enjoyed it. You know, we got the tough one out first, really, because air's one that gives you a bit of a headache sometimes because of all the sword cards that are a little bit hard to deal with. But we got through that, we dealt with it, we've worked through it, and now the next suit of cards we're going to be looking at is the Suit of Wands, the Suit of Fire. So thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed playing with swords, and I've really enjoyed going through this with you guys. All questions, do put them below, and as always, subscribe, like, share with your friends. It's always really fabulous to hear from you. Have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.